Kuki working CSO launches economic blockade on NH2 amid rising tensions over FNCC's continued ban. Kuki land. August 8, 2025. Tensions in the Kuki-dominated regions of Manipur escalated sharply today as the Kuki Working Civil Society Organizations, CSOs, declared an indefinite economic blockade along National Highway 2, NH2, a major lifeline in northeastern India. The move comes in response to the continued imposition of a bond shutdown by the FNCC, a Meitei-dominated coalition, which Kuki CSO leaders say has deliberately restricted the movement and rights of the Kuki people. The blockade began early this morning, with Kuki volunteers setting up checkposts, barricades, and protest camps along NH2, particularly in the Kangpokpi area of Kangpokpi district, widely regarded as a strategic location within the emerging concept of Kuki land. The affected stretch is a crucial corridor that connects Manipur's capital Imphal to the WS Northern Hill districts and beyond into Nagaland and Assam. According to leaders of the Kuki working CSOs, the blockade is a direct and necessary reaction to what they characterize as an ongoing campaign of exclusion, marginalization, and communal targeting of the Kuki-Zo community by the FNCC. Despite repeated appeals and negotiations, the FNCC has refused to lift the bond, which effectively prevents free movement of Kuki residents, particularly on major roads and markets. We had no choice but to initiate this economic blockade. The FNCC's ban is a form of collective punishment targeting our people, said a spokesperson for the Kuki working CSO. If the state authorities refuse to act and allow this discriminatory restriction, we must take matters into our own hands to defend our dignity and freedom of movement. The background: deepening ethnic fault lines. The blockade is only the latest chapter in a long-simmering ethnic and political crisis in Manipur, where decades of mistrust and violence between the Meitei and Kuki-Zo communities have worsened over the past few years. Since the outbreak of ethnic violence in May 2023, which left hundreds dead and tens of thousands displaced, the state has seen deep fragmentation along ethnic lines. The valley, dominated by Métis, and the hills, predominantly inhabited by Kukis and other tribal groups, have become almost completely segregated. Roads like NH2 are often treated as fault lines, or worse, contested borders. The FNCC, which is seen by many Kukis as a front for Meitei nationalist interests, has been accused of using shutdowns and blockades as tools to assert dominance and restrict the socio-economic functioning of the tribal population. The Kuki working CSOs represent a network of tribal civil society bodies, church groups, student unions, and women's organizations operating in Kuki territories. Over the last 2 years, they have increasingly taken a leading role in mobilizing nonviolent resistance, humanitarian efforts, and now strategic actions like this economic blockade. Why NH2 matters. National Highway 2 is not just a road, it is the economic artery of the region. Connecting Imphal to Kohima and further to Guwahati, NH2 carries essential supplies such as fuel, food, medical goods, and construction materials. It also facilitates interstate trade and passenger movement. By blocking NH2, the Kuki working CSO hopes to draw national and international attention to the plight of the Kuki people, especially the fact that, even after more than 2 years of ethnic conflict, their civil rights, freedom of movement, and access to public infrastructure remain under constant threat. They can shut us off from their cities, but we can also control the flow of goods through our territories, said another protester. This is not revenge, this is self-defense. We demand equal rights, not conflict. Escalating civil disobedience. The economic blockade marks a notable shift in strategy for the Kuki civil society. While previous protests had largely been symbolic, such as candlelight, vigils, rallies, and memorandums to state and central authorities, this latest action indicates a more assertive and coordinated response to the intransigence of both the FNCC and the state government. What triggered the move was the FNCC's refusal to lift a long-standing ban that has severely restricted Kuki access to public roads, especially in the mixed or Meitei majority zones. Reports have emerged of Kuki travelers being harassed, vehicles being turned back, and even cases of assault and vandalism. While the ban was originally justified by the FNCC as a protest against the alleged encroachments by Kuki groups, observers say it has evolved into a targeted weapon of social exclusion. Despite this, the government has failed to intervene or take meaningful steps to protect the rights of Kuki civilians. In this context, the economic blockade serves both as a counter-pressure tactic and a message of defiance. This is not just about roads. It's about the right to exist, to move freely in our homeland, said a youth leader participating in the blockade. Economic humanitarian implications. The blockade will undoubtedly have immediate consequences. Already, long queues of stranded trucks and commercial vehicles were seen building up on both ends of the blockade zones. Drivers, many of whom are from neighboring Nagaland and Assam, expressed concern about safety and food supplies during the shutdown. Local traders fear the impact on perishable goods and fuel availability, with most of Manipur still recovering from post-conflict disruptions. Even a few days of blockade could exacerbate scarcity and inflation in affected regions. However, Kuki CSO leaders have assured that essential services such as ambulances, relief vehicles, and humanitarian aid will be allowed passage after proper verification. They emphasized that the blockade is targeted not at the general public, but at the policy of exclusion practiced by the Fncc. We will allow emergency services, but we will not allow normalcy to return until our people are treated as equals under the law, said a woman volunteer stationed at a checkpoint near Kangpokpi. A call to the government. The Kuki working CSO has demanded immediate intervention by the central government to compel the Fncc to lift the bond and restore unimpeded mobility across Manipur. They have also called for the deployment of neutral security forces to maintain law and order in mixed ethnic zones and on national highways. Furthermore, the CSO reiterated its long-standing demand for a separate administrative arrangement, commonly referred to as Kuki land or Kuki homeland, within the constitutional framework of India. According to their leaders, only political separation can guarantee long-term peace and justice. We have tried coexistence. We have endured violence. We have lost lives and homes. Enough is enough. Either give us our own administration or continue to face resistance, said a prominent Kuki civil society leader. Reactions and outlook. So far, the Fncc has not issued a statement in response to the economic blockade. However, Manipur government sources said they are monitoring the situation and urged both sides to avoid further escalation. Security analysts believe that unless a neutral arbitration process is initiated soon, the region could witness more such confrontations, especially as the Kuki and Maitai communities continue to operate in parallel political universes with separate governance structures, economic systems, and territorial claims. For the Kuki working CSO and their supporters, however, the message is clear. Silence will no longer be their response to discrimination. Conclusion. The launch of the economic blockade on NH2 is a defining moment in the Kuki struggle for rights, recognition, and autonomy in Manipur. While it raises concerns about humanitarian impacts and regional stability, it also underscores the growing resolve of the Kuki community to assert its place in the political and civil landscape of Northeast India. As the situation unfolds, all eyes will be on how the government responds not only to the blockade, but to the underlying causes that have led an entire people to feel besieged in their own land.
Kangpokpi